Mr. Raven, how do you plead?
Guilty. I'm guilty. I would hurt her.
Based on available evidence, I have already judged your probability of guilt to be 97.5%. This is 17.5% above the 80% threshold to treat.
One of the things I love about being a talentless arsehat of an actor is that I can review films however I please. This is a fantastic thing. Not for my bank account, mind you, but it allows me to bumble to you my unrelenting love for trashy films with heaping doses of heart. Mercy is yet another one of those films that manages to straddle this line, where I had a great time at the movies, but felt like there was something completely wrong and misguided about the film's messaging, mostly culminating in the last 15 minutes as it happens. So in that way, it reminds me a lot of Morton Tilden's Passengers, which also happens to star Chris Pratt.
Coincidence? I think not!
I want to state for the record that I'm not being paid to make this review. I got pitched the chance to go and see a shitty film starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson, and yeah, that's it. I had no idea this film existed, in part because I'm not as chronically online as I once was, but mostly thanks to the Amazon Prime account that I do not have. I see no value in the service outside of next day free delivery. Their exclusives are few and far between, and when you're already paying for multiple subscription services at the same time, it can feel like your money is being flushed down the drain. It's clear to me that Mercy is another pawn in their quest for getting more exclusive content on their platform. From that alone, you can see why Mercy looks unappealing. Now you have to factor in the generic sci-fi trailers that don't portray the film's qualities, and yes, that is an angry mob outside my house. Okay, fellas, no need for the guillotine, it's just a review, no review! I wanted to get this all out of the way first because when you look past the shitty advertising, the film is actually very good, and the BFI IMAX premiere deserves a lot of credit for making another huge leap in the favour of 3D film releases. Some scenes can get quite disorientating, especially when characters start running around with body cams and iPhones, but for the most part, it's tastefully handled and doesn't feel like a gimmick. I suspect no one gives two shits about 3D for a film like this, so putting the 3D aside, and how good is it really?
Well now. Always impatient. That's a long story there, young viewer. A story as old as time itself.
Screw it. It's one of my favourite mystery thrillers that's come out in the last decade, and I would like to use this time to prove the skeptics wrong. Mainly my mate, Mr. Samuel Winner, a man who rated Puss in Boots a 4 on Letterboxd.
James! Oh, it's been so long!
Did not agree. I have 4 main areas of praise, and I'll begin first with the performances. A lot of this film's enjoyment can be attributed to the nuanced and deliberate choices Rebecca Ferguson and Chris Pratt make throughout the majority of Mercy. I have my issues with the AI judge, but don't let that fool you. Rebecca could have easily stuck with a fairly linear and basic interpretation of an AI, something I would say exists in every actor's toolset. But in hindsight, Rebecca's character choices can lend the AI an almost spiteful edge, which undermines the preconception of how AIs tend to operate, usually opting for big smiles and bubbly dialogue.
Is that a fucking gun?
There's a lot of human in her acting, but it's subtle enough to where you can see a cold, unfeeling machine, truly instilling the future angle effortlessly, while providing a well-rounded character, emphasizing comedy, pity, and hope. When it comes to Super Mario, on the other hand, it's one of Chris Pratt's best performances.
What?
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
And you can glean a lot from his mental place by the way he reacts to the given situation. It's his cop training that's saving him from explosive reactions, But counteracting that, you have the man that he became. Someone who is so mentally unstable due to his alcohol abuse that he can't even remember the events that led up to his arrest. And this is where the fun begins, because it's this detail that keeps the audience on the edge of their seat, makes the mystery more thrilling. We can see all of his terrible traits on full display, and when framed like this, my initial reaction was to think the footage was doctored in some way, or it's an AI generated video, and that might not be the real Chris Raven. But through the course of the film, we know this footage to be true by subsequent phone calls, messages, videos, and emails. All of it culminating in Chris believing that he's a murderer. It's a powerful move to do that to the audience, and one of many ways the film spreads the theming of failure. But, more importantly, it grounds Chris Raven as someone who did the wrong thing at the wrong time. Something that is universal to fucking everyone, but especially me. But, while the majority of Chris Pratt's performance is well executed, I still want to highlight a nitpick that might make or break the film for you, depending on how much you like the actor. And that is, I wish Chris Raven had been played by someone other than Chris Pratt. Regardless of how well suited he is to the part, you can probably see where I'm going with this. It's literally a beginner writer's mistake to call a character Chris when the actor is called Chris. This is made worse by the fact that Chris Pratt is a global franchise actor. Everybody knows Chris Pratt in some way or another, and that can diminish the character to just being Chris Pratt playing Chris Pratt. Again, I'm not dogging on his acting, but I could understand the opinion that he's just playing himself again with no variation. Literally, just changing Chris Raven's name to Maurice could circumvent this issue. Or fuck it, just call him Chris Pratt, either way works. Failure plays a key role in the enjoyment of Mercy, and it's no more obvious than the multiple dead ends Chris hits while deducing evidence. Cases like these are never cut and dry like they are in Poirot or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In reality, even having a small scrap of evidence would mostly point back to the same suspect. The film does a good job at keeping the mystery vague. We know that Chris is guilty, but he knows otherwise, and it becomes quite satisfying to see a flawed character like this pick up breadcrumbs from ill-accused suspects and surveillance footage, using it to find other tiny details, which in turn leads to a huge cinematic payoff. All of this, however, is going on while the world continues to crumble around him. Calls from his daughter learning the truth about Chris's murder, and being reassured of his love. Poverty and chaos are a constant in this world, and we get hints of how horrific the life in the city has become. I would be surprised if a game like Cyberpunk 2077 or a film like Blade Runner 2049 hadn't come up in conversation when making Mercy, since a lot of tech flourishes and world building feels straight out of those franchises.
Manual details a special temp-controlled container.
No, I have something here. We gotta go old school.
The cops are repaying their debt to Chris by helping him look for evidence. And when they come up empty-handed, there's a sense of urgency that drives his need to find more evidence before he's put to death. But by just watching it unfold, you wouldn't necessarily feel that way. That is, unless you put a big red timer that's counting down.
In precisely 90 minutes.
Yes, that's what they do, and it's fairly accurate to the film's runtime. This detail makes every second feel like a gift given, not to be wasted. In turn, putting more anxiety onto the audience by raising these stakes so high up that every wrong answer or missed piece of evidence can feel like a scary revelation. Not all dialogue delivery is hunky-dory though. A few one-liners akin to a Will Smith misadventure crop up from time to time, and they are as cringe-inducing as you think they would be. That's just a given with this genre of film. It's like making an excellent DreamWorks film. It doesn't matter how high the quality is, there must be at least one fart joke for some kid all the way out in the Maldives to find hilarious. Mercy pushed the budget on actors where it counted. The other performances in this film tend to range from good to fine, which is an oxymoron. There's no greater choices or sparking moments that leave much of an impression, but they do their job well enough to feel like the character they're selling us on. To give credit, the film has absolutely superb pacing, and with so many different formats of video cropping up from multiple different characters, it's understandable that the rest of the cast don't really get a chance to shine in a conventional nature. On the subject of pacing,
Police Constable Nicholas Angel.
It's on a similar level to Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz. Scenes are effortlessly blended together in a way where it feels like you're witnessing the complete experience in live time, with twists and turns that feel natural to the given circumstances, and to that end, never left me bored or wanting more, which is a big plus for a mystery thriller in a genre that's stacked high with octane action. Which brings me to the film's biggest strength, and that is the attention to realism. A lot of movies will often paper over logic-driven plot holes by a weak or nonsensical motivation. If you've seen any recent film from If you've seen any recent film from Blumhouse, I'm sure you've probably thought to yourself, why the hell is a person doing something that would obviously get them killed? And these films don't provide that reason. The same is true for thrillers, often climaxing with something so absurd or confusing, leaving the audience questioning long after the film has moved on, sometimes not even bothering to show how it happened. I believe Mercy to be one of the top films in this genre for this very reason. Every single question you had in your head, no matter the obscure or absurd, gets tested. Chris has unfiltered access to everything that is on his digital ID-ass network, which basically amounts to having every online asset to ever exist anywhere, all at his very fingertips. Whether that's archives, police documents, IP addresses, social media accounts, the list goes on. The AI having all of this unlawful access would usually derail a film if it weren't for the fact that the carefully layered plot device perfectly depicts a realistic dystopian future, paralleling our present day. I'm not going to get into this, but the world sucks right now, and if we aren't careful, this could be a very real thing. The upshot of all of this is that the whole film feels like reality, even though we aren't anywhere close to the future described in the film. The realism is boosted whenever possible by the film working in close conjunction with the cycle of motivated characters pursuing truth, hitting dead ends, and securing enough evidence to keep them pushing further. I can say, with 100% certainty, this is what we all want from a mystery, and that goes a long way when trying to immerse an audience so hell-bent on doom scrolling that they can't even get 10 minutes into a movie without checking their phone. I have used a lot of positive superlatives to describe this film, and I meant every single one. It reflects the attention to detail that Timur and his team put into every part of this film. All of it. Except the ending, which borderline fucks the film hard in the arse. I genuinely believe this third act has to be some of the worst writing I have ever witnessed in a film to date. After giving it some thought, however, I realised that the film's ending has its roots in the AI human consciousness angle, which comes up so infrequently and adds nothing to the point I forgot Judge Paddock had been glitching in and out of it. But there's a clear shift towards the end which makes it impossible to ignore. The ending, to be crystal clear, is terrible. I think the last 10 minutes specifically unravels so much to the point I felt genuinely in awe about how I could be seeing so much garbage compacted into such a short span of time. Firstly, let's re-establish the elephant in the room. The AI Judge Paddock, glitching and gaining consciousness randomly throughout the film, resulting in nothing? Wait, that can't be right. Wait, these scenes just serve as padded filler. Oh, okay. Okay, so where does the payoff of these scenes happen then? Ah, right, well, that will be in the last stretch, where the judge starts making unrealistic and harmful decisions that are beyond the programming capabilities of an AI. Like Judge Paddock being able to swerve a police bike into the wall by controlling it remotely. What? That is a huge breach of power and shouldn't be possible. But more importantly, this is lazy, boring, and destroys the realism that the entire film has been setting up. This section might stray into spoiler territory, but I can assure you that you aren't missing much. I'll give you a moment now. Are they gone? I can't tell. Chris Raven is allowed to leave and rushes to the reception where he is faced with the villain. This bad person has a gun to someone Chris knows. And this is a tough decision for Chris, because if he shoots and misses, the villain could just trigger the bomb that he has and kill everyone. This bad person has a gun to someone Chris knows. And this is a tough decision for Chris, because if he shoots and misses, the villain could just trigger the bomb and kill everyone. This is where the AI comes back on the big screen, despite the trial having ended ages ago, and proudly directs the attacker to the big screen and loosely asks, "You think you're innocent? Let me put you to the trial." Like it's fastest finger first on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
My lawyer's gonna go data crash on your ass. You hear me? He'll run you out of biz.
Would you be so kind as to give me your lawyer's contact information?
It's important to state here that throughout this exchange, Judge Paddock is talking to Chris Raven through his earpiece at the same time as Judge Paddock's conducting this phony trial. The judge then finds out from analysis that Chris can take the battery from the bomb detonator and it won't blow up. All the while, this villainous twat, for lack of a better word, is falling for one of the most Looney Tunes-esque distractions I have ever seen in a movie. I couldn't help but laugh at this. How could someone be so completely invested in such a clearly fake virtual trial? I mean, this villain has planned this whole thing out for like 2 years, and you're telling me he was thwarted by one huge decision of complete idiocy? What? Why? This is so unnecessary. Now, I'm no bomber man, but how about you just threaten the bomb again? That's clearly what was working, and because of this blunder, he ends up getting arrested. So his time in the sun was short-lived? You'd think that'd be the last of Machiavellian behavior in a film that is already packed with plot, and that's where the movie has the balls to give us another climax. Yes, you heard that right. One climax wasn't enough. It's found out that the police officer, played by Callie Race, I forgot her name in the film, has falsified evidence to keep control in the city, wanting to carry on acts of coercion used by the police to deter innocent lower-class citizens, despite the fact that it's clearly a flawed system. And this literally came out of nowhere. What am I watching right now? To be fair, you could argue there were sprinkles of this idea throughout the film about how flawed the justice system was, the rampant spread of drugs like methamphetamine, and the crime spikes in a red district of sorts make up the bulk of this exploration, and sure, but it was rarely discussed or talked about outside of being that small background element. I assume this is partly due to the nature of the film being stuck to Chris Raven in a chair for 90% of the film, but the conversations weren't non-existent. There was clearly an attempt to make it seem like a wider issue. Why not put more time into developing these ideologies than just doing the bare minimum, I hear you ask? I can tell you why. Every single one of these terrible decisions hangs in the balance because of Mercy's final message. A line of dialogue that is so utterly unredeemable. I'm surprised it made it through any phase of development. I don't remember the line specifically, but it was to do with the idea that humans and AI, they'll both make mistakes. They're both equal. No advantage at all to being human or having AI, apparently. Now, looking at this message on its own merits, oh, it's fucking egregious. There's no getting around that. But looking at what legacy Mercy will have as a result of all of this is even more damning. A huge majority of people actively hate fuck the shit out of AI. They hate it with a fiery passion. I don't know how many people are going to watch this film, probably not a lot, but this messaging, while wanting to get ahead of the AI curve, will lead to a lot of negative discourse, a type of negativity that they are clearly trying to avoid. The problem with all this is that the realism is undercut for no reason. It's not being done to evolve the concept with its themes and dynamic world. Rather, they want to bookend the film on a message that removes any responsibility from their part on the human world that is being ever expanded by AI as we speak. The creators of Mercy realize that the AI can't be seen as good, even though the whole film prefaces this idea, and so they try to mitigate it by adding in pointless film-breaking additions that want to make you believe it's to cast a wide debate about how AI can be just as wrong as people. So effectively, they've removed all accountability from the filmmakers so that the film can sit on Amazon Prime with no controversy, meaning more people are likely to watch it. And all of this snowballed from the idea of making the AI humanly conscious. This was when the film lost its identity. For me, at least. AI is a difficult subject to talk about. And if you're going to attempt it, you have to be bold and unapologetic with its perception. And Mercy got so close, but in the end, it's just another film in the never-ending pile that will never get the praise it deserves because it tried to be everything about AI all at once, and when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. If you want a number put on it, I'll give it 3.5 Chris Pratts out of 5 Rebecca Fergusons. If you liked what you heard from this review, then I urge you, give it a watch. Particularly in cinemas and in 3D, if that's still possible. It is one of the best films to watch in the cinema, just for the CGI alone. Just remember to leave the cinema when the trial nears its completion. Otherwise you might come out of it thinking you wasted your time. With all that said and done, my name is Xavier Rippon. I'm an actor and filmmaker. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care. Like and subscribe. I have used a lot of positive superlatives. Superlatives? How to say superlatives? I don't want to go on holiday. I have to make this video, damn it.
We are looking at how to pronounce this word, as well as how to say more interesting, related, and some of the most mispronounced words in English as well. So make sure to stay tuned as superlative. Superlative. You do want to stress on the second syllable, on the per syllable in American English.
Okay, so superlative. Superlative.
However, this is normally pronounced as superlative. Superlative in American.
Superlative. Okay, superlative. Right. Okay. We're definitely keeping this one. I've used a lot of positive superfluid... okay, that's a good place to stop. I've used a lot of Fuck! Why can't I say this word? I wrote it! I know what it means! Oh my god.